Hi, today we're going to go over lesson 4.7 about overlapping triangles. So our pictures today are a little bit intimidating. There are two triangles that share information. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate them and redraw them and then identify the common sides or angles. So what's really going to help you is up here, it tells you the name of the angles or the triangles. And so we have triangle ABC. They're in yellow. And then we're going to also have DCB. So DCB. So you can see the part that they're overlapping is this part right here, the B to C. B to C is the common area. So what we need to do is we need to just redraw these, do the best you can. It doesn't have to be beautiful, obviously. And then I want to draw this side. And B, C, D. Okay, and hopefully you can probably draw that a little better than I did, but you guys get the idea, I hope. On the next one, let's identify triangle BYA, BYA, and then get a different color and identify CXA, CXA. Now, while they do share parts of side lengths, they don't really share an entire side length with each other. And a lot of people get confused because they say, well, right there, they share that. Well, that's not the entire side of the triangle, so that doesn't count. But they do share this entire angle here. They both have angle A in common. So what do they have in common? They have angle A. All right, so we need to redraw these. This is really just two different right triangles. So here's one of the right triangles, AXC. And then you have the other right triangle, YAB. Okay, so they do have a couple things that are in common that's not on my picture yet. They both have A in common, so let's mark that. And right here it shows these two side links are in common, so let's also mark that. So that's A to X and A to Y. So when we separate them, we can see that really on this one, we have enough information to prove them congruent by angle, side, angle. Okay, next one. Let's find MPN. MPN. Next one, MOQ. Now, a lot of people want to say they have angle M in common. Well, they have the letter in common, but if you notice, the yellow one, the angle is more to the left, and the green one, the angle is more to the right. They're not exactly the same thing. So we need to look at it and decide if there's any part of it in common. And so, like right here from O to P, they do overlap, but O to P isn't really a full segment. So if you look at this one up here, MOQ, P is not even one of the letters. So on this one, what do they have in common? And it's really like a trick. They want you to say angle M, but it's wrong. Common, there's nothing. Okay, so I'm going to separate and redraw these. So I have M, N, O. I have M, O, Q. All right, and that's all you have to do. So go ahead and make sure you have these down before we move on. Pause the video if you need to. In example number 4, it says in the diagram to the right, angle A is congruent to angle C. So let's mark that. AB, I'm just going to highlight it. AB is the same as C to E, and D to A is the same as F to C. Which triangles are congruent by side, angle, side? Okay, so this is actually pretty easy if you highlight it as I went along. So on this triangle, notice you have the side, the angles provided, and you have the side. So this is just the other side here. That's one triangle. So let's name it. This is triangle ADB. And I could put those letters in any order that I wanted to. So let's look at the other triangle. Here's this big long side they have in common, and there's the angle, and here's the other side, and you connect it back right here. So the other triangle's name is, and let's just practice this. Let's put them in corresponding order and write a congruency statement. So I started with A and then went up to D, then to B. So I would start with what corresponds to A, and that would be C. What corresponds with D? Hopefully you're thinking F. And B corresponds with E. So yes, there were some extra lines on this picture to make it more difficult. Okay, we have a 2-column proof. It says complete the 2-column proof using the diagram to the right. So the measure of FEH is 90. Okay, so that's already drawn in on the picture. And GFE, so GFE. Now this is already drawn in on the picture. They're both 90. We also know that GH is congruent to FG. And so I'm just going to go ahead in my proof and write that all of that information is given. Okay, now for step number 2, they're trying to help us. If you notice, it went from equals to congruent. That's the only thing that changed. So this is definition of congruence, and you can spell the word or put the symbol. Now, next up, I often don't write it this way. FE is the same thing as EF. So what if I wrote it like this? Would you guys know what property that is? If you notice, these triangles share a side. They share side EF. So this is being reflexive. This is F, reflexive property. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing that you have 2 right triangles. So what we need to do is, once you have 3 things that are congruent, which we do, we did one in each step here, we have enough information to write our congruency statement. So I'm going to start here with G and go down my hypotenuse and back to the right angle. So GEF. Now, the first triangle I could put in any order that I wanted to. That was up to me. The second triangle, you have to put in the order that corresponds with the first triangle. So I'm going to have to start with H and find out what corresponds with E. And hopefully, you know what? I goofed up on that one. I'm going to back up. Hold on. If I start with... No, I didn't. My goodness. I had a moment. I was right the whole time. Okay, so what corresponds with angle E? And that would be F. And what corresponds with F? And that would be E. Ooh, that even confused me for a second. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Now, once we prove all these sides and angles are congruent, we only had to prove 3. that means the other three pieces of information within this proof are actually congruent as well. And once you write your congruency statement, those other three things, you can write them as being congruent. So look at your picture. It's FH, well, it's highlighted here, and GE. Are those things really corresponding and congruent? And of course they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to write Cpctc. Now this is shorthand for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Let's break this down. Are the parts corresponding that we were talking about in step 5? Yes. Are they of congruent triangles? Yes. Then they are congruent. So instead of writing out corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, we write Cpctc. And it's just a fast way that mathematicians can do it because we're lazy/time efficient, which I say all the time. So I'm just going to give you a hint. If there's a step after this congruency statement, 99.9% of the time it's those 5 letters, Cpctc. Now I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. So the idea for today is that you're just going to separate and redraw the pictures if you need to, or if you use highlighters, sometimes it's easier and you don't have to separate and redraw. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot. Bye.